Well, Packers coach Matt LaFleur says his low grades in the NFL Players Association survey was a product of him not being a good enough communicator when it came to guys and their roles on the team. Speaking at the NFL spring meetings yesterday, LaFleur said that there were guys that were upset about the roles last year and that it took a toll on the team. While he acknowledged his part in that, he said if guys don't like the roles, it's on them to change them. GM Brian Gutekunst said essentially the same thing when he met with reporters yesterday.
I think as the season wears on, you'd like all the guys to attack whatever role they're given, but I think most players, they're going to be a little unhappy with the roles if they're not the top, you know what I mean? And that's okay. I do think you have to, as a player, you have to manage that, and you have to, put your best foot forward in the roles that are given to you. And I think most of our guys do that, but I do think that it's a challenging thing for Matt and his staff, and that always will be because a lot of competitive guys in that room.
Packers gearing up for the NFL draft. It gets going at the end of April. Green Bay does not have a first-round pick. They're currently slated to be on the clock at pick number 52 of the second round. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin football team is on spring break. They're going to return next week for the final 11 practices of spring ball.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences has teamed up with UW Athletics to help promote eradicating cancer by preventing it, detecting it earlier, and guiding personalized treatment. The Exact Sciences Athletes Program is unique as it connects UW student athletes with Exact Sciences' work to provide breakthroughs in cancer care and treatment. Exact Sciences and UW Athletics helping raise cancer awareness to make a difference in the Madison community. Learn more at exactsciences.com.
Well, the Brewers and Rays are continuing their series tonight in Milwaukee. Tampa took the opener last night 3-2, handing Milwaukee its first loss of the season. Brandon Woodruff goes for the crew tonight. The Rays send Shane McClanahan. And the Bucs are closing in on the end of their season. They've got a matchup with Dallas tonight at Fiserv Forum. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
I know the season didn't end the way that you wanted, but you guys were 9-3-1 and sure looked like you were on the cusp of being that Super Bowl team. When you kind of made that plan, do you believe kind of in the team you were before those injuries hit? Like, is that how much of that direct where you meant?
Yeah, I think you have to be able to overcome injuries, whatever those are, and we did, certainly at the end of the season. But I do believe in our team very much. I think we got a great group of guys, a very talented group. I think we have a group that is capable of accomplishing a lot, and we did last year as well. This will be a whole new year. They got to come together as a team, like I've spoken about many times. Like, doesn't matter how much talent we have, if they don't come together as a team, we're never going to accomplish ultimately what we want to. But I thought we did some really good things last year. But at the end, when some of the adversity hit, we didn't finish like we needed to do, and I would expect this team moving forward to work towards fixing that. For me, it's just about understanding that there's different situations through a football game, and you got to be able to handle each and every one of them. As we went through the season, we just never accomplished that part of it. But I feel really good about that. We'll get that corrected.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Some audio from Brian Gutekunst, who met with the media, a Packers scrum, NFL media people down at the meetings. I thought the meetings were in Florida. I said all throughout the show yesterday, the meetings were in Florida. I guess they're in Arizona. Not that it really matters, but I just want to make sure that I'm coming across as the authority that I'm supposed to be on this show. I should know these things. Brian Gutekunst, and those scrums, that one at least took place outside. So you can hear the wind a little bit, the background noise and the birds, which I kind of like. Let's hold press conferences in different environments. Makes for some nice, variety in the audio at least. And if you were struggling to make that, Grant, I couldn't really hear that. That wasn't great audio. It was fine audio, not the best audio. Really, it was just Brian Gutekunst saying the same thing that we've heard him say a million times in each of these last 2 years. Well, we weren't able to finish games. We weren't able to close games. And, but I'm confident in the group that we have and their ability to figure that out, So if you didn't make out every word of that crisply and cleanly, you spiritually can fill in the blanks because it's nothing you haven't heard before. But I got to play something to begin the show. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. Plenty of talk for the Brewers tonight as well. Curt Hogg will join us live from the ballpark here in about a half hour, 35 minutes. The Brewers taking their first loss of the season last night. So the first 3 games, nothing bad happened. Nothing bad will ever happen. Here's all the things that are great about the Brewers. And because they lost last night, tonight we will talk about all the things that are bad about the Brewers and why they'll never win enough games and why they'll never be successful, because that's how baseball works, especially early in the season with a small sample. But I do want to begin with the Packers, and I'll make plenty of space for your phone calls as well. We already have some phone calls coming in. I don't know what you could some people just really fired up to talk Packers, I guess, but I'm going to give you a couple opening comments, not about what Matt LaFleur had to say. We did that last night. Not necessarily about what Brian Gutekunst had to say, although I'll probably sprinkle some of those comments in because he did say, some things about Sean Ryan that I think are instructive and informative. And he said a thing or two about, the team big picture, or Javon Hargrave, right? The decision to bring him in, or Zaire Franklin, who they love. I actually want to begin with Ed Policy's comments because he spoke. I didn't see any pictures. I didn't hear any audio. I just saw written word of the reporters who were there. Ed Policy speaking with the media and talking about the decision to bring back Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst. And I believe this is the first time he's done so. Ed Policy even earning the nickname on the morning show, Silent Ed, which is pretty funny to me. I thought he should have given a press conference. I thought he should have addressed the media, a week or two, or even 3, take 3 weeks. I don't care. But at some point in the month following the extension for Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, I thought Ed Policy should have had to at least give a statement to a group of assembled media members. Field some questions. I realized that, he's not going to see too many live bullets and he's not going to get hammered by Rob Domofsky, Matt Schneidman, Jason Wilde, because, it's typically not how it goes. An owner will make themselves available and they'll pay some lip service, but it's typically, it's not always the hardest hitting press conference. But I think a press conference was in order because it was Ed Policy's decision. Previous to Mark Murphy's reorganization of the organization structure in 2018, the decision was made by the general manager, Ted Thompson, on the coach. The general manager was in charge of all football operations. Mark Murphy restructured it so both GM and coach reports directly to him. He's the one pulling the strings. And we thought that maybe this offseason, as Ed Policy got established, he would return total football control to Brian Gutekunst. That didn't happen, which meant the decision to bring back Matt LaFleur was a decision made by Ed Policy. So I thought Ed Policy should have to speak on it. He didn't really, but he did talk about it at these meetings over the last couple of days. So if you're watching on the simulcast, and I didn't mention this, but you can watch the show on the Wisco Sports Zone app. Show's got a YouTube page. I'd love it if you would subscribe. Just helps me out a little bit. My Twitter is @Wisco Grant. Show streams on the Facebook page as well. Ryan Wood posting in his story, and his story is out. It's very good at Packers News, breaking all of this down. He tweeted some quotes, the written word, and I'll read it for you. This is a quote from Ed Policy about his decision to bring back Matt LaFleur and what he likes about Matt LaFleur, and I'll just read it to you. This is a direct quote. I'm not filling in anything. There's no editorializing here. I'm reading this verbatim. Any head coach is a teacher. Matt is a teacher. He's natural at it. His parents were both teachers. Just watching him develop players as individuals, and more importantly, develop those individuals into teams the last 7 years, I've been very impressed with him. In particular, the quarterback position. Watching him, you guys were all here when he was getting, I would say, the very best out of Aaron Rodgers. Then he did a tremendous job of developing Jordan Love. And then you look at what he did with Malik over the past couple of years. That coupled with the locker room that supports him from Jordan to the rest of the locker room, I think you guys have probably all had a chance to talk to many of those guys. They support him openly. They support him behind closed doors. I think he's the winningest in his time in the league as a head coach. I think he's the winningest NFC coach. And I think the third winningest coach in the NFL in those 7 years. Frankly, the fact that I was being asked, is firing him even an option at that point, I was a bit shocked by that. So Ed Policy extolling the virtues of Matt LaFleur and saying, quite frankly, the fact that I was even being asked about retaining him is a little ridiculous to me. I was confused by that. Now, the first 75% of that answer that I just read you is about Matt LaFleur as a teacher, as a quarterback developer, as an offensive schemer. I don't think any of that's incorrect. I think all of that's nails. I think that's correct. He came here and one way or another gave a shot in the arm to Aaron Rodgers for the final back nine of his career. Now, maybe any coach would have done that. Maybe Aaron Rodgers was just so bored and so over the Mike McCarthy experience that you could have brought in anyone and they would have gotten that version out of Aaron Rodgers. I'm willing to hear that argument. The only thing we know for sure is that Mike McCarthy wasn't doing it. Now, it's hard for me to believe that Matt LaFleur didn't provide something unique to him and his offense and his coaching style that could have, supported Aaron Rodgers. But again, if you're the most anti-Matt LaFleur person, you could have said, will you bring in any fresh coach? It was just more about getting Mike McCarthy out of the building. That's what lit a fire under Aaron Rodgers. That's what got him going. That's what got him to play that way. Oh, okay, I would listen to that. But I don't think, again, Ed Policy is incorrect in his accounting of the last 7 years of getting the best football out of Rodgers and a lot of wins. I don't think he's incorrect about the work that he's done with Jordan Love, and he's certainly not incorrect about the work that he did with Malik Willis. My pushback to all of that, and I've pointed this out before, is that the job of an NFL head coach is not limited to quarterback developer. And over the last year, I think a lot of people around the NFL, media people outside of Green Bay, whether I'd play a soundbite from, any of these smart people, I always take sound bites from podcasts, Sam Monson or Mike Renner or Mina Kimes or any of these, national media is such a cliche term, but football talkers that are outside of just the Green Bay and Wisconsin market. They'd say, how can Packers fans not like Matt LaFleur? How can they be out on Matt LaFleur? Just look at the work he's done with Malik Willis. And while his work with Malik Willis has been really impressive, my pushback to that or my devil's advocate to that would always be, yeah, but the job is more than about getting the best out of Malik Willis or even Jordan Love. That's a really important part of the job. But you're also coaching the rest of the offense and the O-line, and you're also hiring assistants, and you're also instilling a culture, and you're also instilling practice habits, and you're also instilling a killer instinct, and you're managing the clock, and you're coordinating late game drives, and you're coordinating 2 minutes a night. There's a lot that goes into being a football coach that's not limited to, well, look what he's done with Aaron Rodgers, Malik Willis, Jordan Love. That's really important, and Ed Policy, I think, accurately points all of that out. But there is more to it than that. Now I'll give you a little bit more from Ed Policy. This is again from Ryan Wood's story. And this is a direct response to the question of, well, have you heard fans upset about this? Have you heard the frustration from fans who maybe don't agree with your decision to bring back Matt LaFleur? This is Ed Policy's answer. I'm extremely aware of it, and I appreciate it. I wouldn't have it any other way. I think by that he's saying, I'm glad that our fans are passionate and that our fans want what's best for the team. I don't think he's saying, I appreciate the fact that a lot of fans want Matt LaFleur canned. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying, I'm glad our fans are so passionate and outspoken and that they care. Now I go back to the quote here. The second half of that Chicago game was very disappointing. We were all extremely frustrated. I know the fans were frustrated, and I wouldn't want them not to be frustrated. They're very passionate about our team and about our games and about the outcome of our games. I wouldn't change it. And I did hear quite a bit of it. I didn't let that factor into these types of decisions. Ultimately, does it impact me? Yes. Do I hear it? Yes. But these are not decisions that should be made by fans after a very disappointing loss. Okay, I agree that decisions should not be made by fans, but he is pointing out that the Chicago loss was very frustrating and disappointing. I don't think it's just the Chicago loss in the playoffs. I think you could look at what happened against Baltimore where the team no-showed. You could look at the previous Chicago game where you had a lead and you blew it. Could look at what happened in Denver or even previous in the season when they were healthier. What happened against Dallas or Cleveland when they couldn't slam the door? What happened against Philly when they had so many opportunities? And while I don't think they ever led in that game, it certainly felt like that game was right there on the table for them to grab and they just couldn't do it. So let's not pretend like it's just the Chicago loss. There's more that goes into fans' frustration with Matt LaFleur than just the Chicago loss, although that final Chicago loss does kind of perfectly sum up everything that didn't go right this season. Here's my question. When Ed Policy basically says, I was always going to extend Matt LaFleur, I was never really thinking about any other option. My question to Ed Policy then, well, I have a couple questions, but it's all kind of centered around the same spirit. It's all kind of centered around the same criticism. If you were always going to extend Matt LaFleur, why didn't you do it before the season? You know what I mean? Because the way I see it, there's clearly no outcome that was going to get Ed Policy to fire Matt LaFleur. There was clearly no realistic outcome that was going to get him to fire Matt LaFleur. Because as I've said a couple of times, I've said this a lot, more than a couple of times, going 9-7-1, even with the injuries they suffered, was about as close to a catastrophe as they could have realistically had. Sure, they could have lost every game they played. Of course, it could have been worse. But with the talent that they built up and the good level of quarterback play they got, Jordan Love had a great season. Losing more than 7 games or really losing and or tying more than 8 games, really, like the floor, I think, was 9 wins. And they hit the floor dead nuts, man. Like they did no higher than about the lowest possible outcome they could have had, in my opinion. So if that wasn't enough to give a long, critical look at Matt LaFleur, I have a hard time seeing what type of season could have forced him to give a long, hard look at Matt LaFleur. So again, I ask, why didn't you just extend him before the year? Because when Ed Policy last summer said, I'm not going to extend Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, and I'm not going to let him play out a lame duck year on their contract, he essentially hot-seated the coach and the GM. Or made this entire previous season about, I need to see it from Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst. When clearly I don't think he did. Because what he saw was not very good at all from Matt LaFleur. So Ed Policy added in this drama, this intrigue, this stress, this pressure onto a coach and a team when he didn't need to. And Mike Clemens has brought this up too. Mike Clemens, I was trying to find this audio because I swear I could have saved it when he appeared on the show. Maybe it was in December or early January. And he said, well, I wonder if Ed Policy could go back and do it differently if he just would have kept that to himself because, and this is what Mike Clemens said, I think he unintentionally put his coach on the hot seat when he never meant to. And I think it wore on Matt LaFleur. Talk to a person or two at the Super Bowl who works in and around the league and knows Matt LaFleur or has spent time around him. And they said, yeah, I think this last year really took a toll on him because he was feeling the stress of his contract. So Ed Policy hot-seated his coach for no reason. No reason, I say, because now I'm reading his comments like, oh, you were never going to move on from him. So what was this all for? It just seems on some level mismanaged to me. Now, if Matt LaFleur would have had a new contract, would that lack of stress meant they win 11 or 12 games instead? I doubt it. But I'd feel better about the process because clearly they weren't going to move off the coach anyway. So we can judge the coach, but not in a way that, is going to mean anything other than just conversation on sports talk radio, which is great. Going back, it's like I would have handled this differently knowing what we know now. So that's where we begin. Ed Policy speaks. Silent Ed, as they call him on the morning show, over the line. I'll take your Packers calls next. We'll mix in some comments from Brian Gutekunst as well. And then at 4:30, we'll switch over to the Brewers. Curt Hogg is going to join us from American Family Field. He's at the Yard. But your phone call's next at 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, making a strategic choice to begin with the Packers tonight. We do have a couple of things to talk about. We picked at comments from Matt LaFleur last night, starting tonight with some comments from Brian Gutekunst and Ed Policy. I'll take your calls in this segment, then we'll switch to the Brewers. Curt Hogg, going to be here in about 15 minutes, the Journal Sentinel, and Brewer Territory, if you've been listening to that podcast with Corey Knable. He was on foul territory yesterday. Kurt's been all over the place, so he'll join us from the yard in about 15 minutes. But some of your Packers calls first in the interim, 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, it's Corey out of Marshall. How you doing?
Corey, I'm excellent. How are you?
Not too bad. I will be quick to give others time here to give their feedback. So, hearing the transcript of what Policy was saying, silent Ed, as we like to call him on the OTL, I would have to give my feedback is that I'm apathetically optimistic. You're asking when Bill is saying, what do you feel like after you've heard this kind of discussion and aura just in general? I'm apathetic from the sense that this is like kind of fait accompli with their structure. Like they're not changing anything short of either a catastrophic season or some off the field thing. We'll set that aside, whatever that might be. I'm optimistic because they have good players and they have good players going there. My concern is what we've discussed in the past is that I'm not sure that they're going to be led in a manner that's going to get the most out of them from a coaching standpoint. Because all those things that Easy Ed was talking about, while they're all true, like you noted, rightly, that's describing a quarterback's coach.
Yeah.
The head coach is the CEO of your company. They are not in charge of developing flow from accounting to be the best accountant. The CEO is to set a strategic vision for your company. Head coach should be the same way, managing games, blah, 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 blah. One last thing I'll say is that if LaFleur was feeling pressure this past year and that impacted his, we're just saying hypothetical, if that impacted his whatever ability to lead, I would push back and say, you know, he wasn't a lame duck per se the year before, and we still saw the same concerns from clock management, game situational calling. And if we step back and just look totality, you know, like the experience of Matt being a coach here, without having a really strong leadership core that they had when Rodgers was here, he's had issues with keeping it all together, except I'll say that for 23, when it looked like they were circling the drain, he got those guys to go and made the playoffs. But
he did.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm hoping that I'm wrong. It's like you and Bill talk about, but this looks like we're going to be sitting here like you and I have talked about this, Grant, October, September, and ruining the same things. I hope not. And I'll hang up and let someone else rant.
Yeah, appreciate it, Corey. So what did you say? Apathetically optimistic? I don't even know if that's possible. I worded it yesterday. Every time I listen to Matt LaFleur speak, I feel a little worse about the direction this thing is headed. You know, because yesterday he said, well, we had guys unhappy about their role, and that impacted the team. It's like, oh, okay, so add that onto the pile of things that were wrong last year that I knew about. Now we have one or two more. And Corey, you make a great point. You know, let's say Matt LaFleur was stressed about his job security this year. Okay, but what about last year and the year before when we saw a lot of the same issues? Can't get the special teams right. Can't close games and you have a late lead. Well, Grant, they got, injuries. Tucker Kraft, Micah Parsons. Okay, well, let's pretend they didn't have leads in a lot of those games anyways, which they did. Even before Micah Parsons and Tucker Kraft got hurt, they were losing games in the same form and fashion. So I'm running out of ways to defend or make excuses for Matt LaFleur. Now, I also maybe one excuse or maybe one thing that I'm interested in is they're still a really friggin' young team. And that's not an excuse because that's the way they built it. So that's not an excuse for Brian Gutekunst. I think it could be an excuse for Matt LaFleur. This season, I'm excited, especially on defense. Javon Hargrave, Zaire Franklin. Like, those are some actual veterans who have been around the league. That could be nice. The offense is still really young. And yeah, of course, Matt LaFleur's got to coach around that, but I wonder if coaches have limits. The best teams with Rodgers early were the teams that had veterans, or even in 2014, Julius Peppers was on that team. Tramon Williams was on that team. Jordy Nelson, like there were veterans. Yeah, this team is really young and cheap and supposedly, less, likely to get injured. Not that played out. That's the one excuse or thing that I can still look at Matt LaFleur and like, I don't know if he's got the fair shakes there. Everything else, I'm like, I'm just checking excuses off the list. We're running out of them. Let's go to another call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. Thomas from La Crosse.
Hot take Thomas. It's been a little bit. What's up?
No longer hot takes anymore, but
UWL Thomas.
Yeah, there we go. No, it's been a minute. How are you doing, Grant?
I'm doing good.
I want to say great opening monologue. You hit the nail on the head. Great call from Corey from Marshall as well, too. And I want to give a shout out to Bobby's World 70-25 in the grandstands.
On the
for
live
this.
stream. Yes.
Yes. If LaFleur is truly, and I wholeheartely agree with this too, if LaFleur is truly getting the best out of Jordan Love, the Packers are in trouble.
Well,
that's true.
That's
an extent.
That's
but
the
where
thing
do
about
you stand?
that's the thing about last year, Thomas, is Jordan Love could have been a little bit better under pressure. And there was a moment or two in the 2 minute, I would have liked him to maybe been on top of it a little bit more. Okay. But on balance, they got a really good year from the quarterback. And they won 9 games. So, what if Jordan Love just has a fine year next year? Then what happens? Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And this comment at the end of the Moski's post here on ESPN really is just puzzling me. Hafley says, what Matt has done from the time he got in this league, his win percentage, and what he's done at Green Bay. I mean, the guy's had one of the best careers. He deserves to be the head coach of the Green Bay mother-loving Packers, and it wouldn't surprise me if they continue to take steps. Eventually, he gets himself a Super Bowl. At the rate we're going, sure, playoffs is great, but the Super Bowl doesn't seem in the rear viewer for me.
It does not.
Not with the way. Yeah. Do you agree?
No,
That's
I know.
What I got for you, Grant. By the way,
great call, Thomas. I truly. I saw that Jeff Hafley was, I saw that Jeff Hafley was saying great things about Matt LaFleur because he's at the meeting speaking today as well. And he was, going to bat for Matt LaFleur. When you ask how close a Super Bowl feels, Thomas, I agree completely. Do you realize, I always say this, if you listen to the show regularly, you know exactly what I'm about to say. In order for the Packers to win a Super Bowl, they need to win 3, or the way they operate, more likely 4 playoff games in a row. Which means they need to go 3 or 4 games in a row without a massive special teams gaffe, without, defecating their pants in the fourth quarter. That seems like such a tiny needle to thread for this team, knowing what we know about them. So I don't even want to talk about the Super Bowl. I'm like, how can you get to the divisional round or the conference championship game? So to say, I think Matt LaFleur, Super Bowl's in his future. Apparently that's what Jeff Hafley said today. I'll believe you, Thomas. It just feels so far away. I agree. All right, one more call here, and then we're going to get into the Brewers next. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hi, this is Patrick in Oshkosh.
What's going on, Patrick?
So I have to piggyback on Thomas's call because I completely agree with him, but I consider right now, as a lifelong Packer fan, what we are witnessing kind of looks like the 1990s Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
They always get to the prom, but they can't close the deal.
Sure.
It's very frustrating, and it's not necessarily Matt LaFleur's fault. Although when we've had leads against the Bears and other teams, you got to look at the snake's head and realize if that snake isn't going to lead you to the promised land, you might want to cut off the head. But at the same time, what is the other option?
Uh-huh. That's such a brutal analogy. Yeah, replacing a coach seems daunting for a team in this moment of its trajectory. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other option. And is there a better option? Absolutely not. And I think Ed policy is kind of like, in a small way, like Bob Harlan, where I don't need to have him have a press conference because Bob never had a press conference. So why do we need, or why do you feel the need to have a press conference?
Well, I can't speak to Bob Harlan in the 90s because I wasn't around. He answered his own phone. Like, he was always accessible. I think Bob Harlan on some level, maybe not in a press conference, but was very attuned to the way his fan base was feeling and would want to communicate with them. This is a very small niche complaint of mine. I work in sports talk radio and am on the air for 6 hours a day. I appreciate when the decision makers of our teams make themselves available and give answers on the record so we can pass that along to the audience who are the fans. And it was Ed Policy's decision, Patrick. So that's what I'm saying. If it was Goody's decision, I don't need to hear from Ed Policy. Go develop Titletown. Go make money. But if you're making football decisions and you make a big one in extending your coach, which they lost 5 in a row, they blew a playoff game to the rival, I kind of want to hear from you. You know what I mean? And I think that's reasonable. I don't think it makes him a bad exec because he won't speak to the media. I just think it's a small thing that I would appreciate. And I can't speak to the 90s Braves either. I'll also be critical on an extra level for this Packers team that can't get over the top. It's not like they've been running into Tom Brady. It's not like they've been then kept out of the Super Bowl because of a dynasty or an all-time great. They've lost to Jimmy Garoppolo, and they lost to the Eagles team last year was pretty darn good, but they just lost to the Bears, who I think were, far from a perfect team. It's not like they're being kept out because they keep running into Patrick Mahomes or because the 80s Bucks kept running into Larry Bird and the Celtics, for example. Curt Hogg going to join us next. Let's switch over to the Brewers and talk baseball.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Curt Hogg is here. I love Curt. He's one of my favorite guests. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's not helpful or conducive to my 2026 goals for my brand, which are to hate the fans and hate talk radio. But you know what? I'm a sucker. What can I say?
I'm territorial.
And what year on the beat do you develop that, by the way? What year do you...
Yeah, it's part of my year 5.
Okay.
My year 5 development, player development never stops.
Sure.
And I like you as a person, but you in the scrum asking questions on my time, I can live without that.
It's a big year. It's a big year for the show. It's a big year for the Milwaukee Brewers. It's an especially big year for Curt Hogg, the Journal Sentinel. He's got a new show with Corey Knable, Brewer Territory. He was on Foul Territory the other day. Love it when he goes on there to set the record straight. But it's year 5 on the beat, which means he is really aging into the job well. I don't know when a beat writer peaks. Like, Curt joins us now from the ballpark. Curt, before I ask the first question, can you hear me okay? Sometimes it takes a second. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes. Can you hear the music at the ballpark? I thought I would bring you ballpark ambiance today.
I appreciate you bringing that to the show. What year does a beat writer peak? Like, when does a beat writer hit their stride, do you think? How many years?
Yeah, well, it depends on what part of the beat writing you're talking about. If you're talking about in terms of their writing, I think it's around year 10 to 12 to 14. That's usually like the book itch range. If you're talking about, curmudgeon ability, it's like year 25, but it's a slow progression. And right now I have hit, if you ever hiked Camelback Mountain in Phoenix, which you might have done, you have been a spring training clubhouse man. You've been boots on the ground. It's that, like, that's where I'm at. I am climbing the mountain hard right now, and we will eventually get to a nice slow, steady climb. Like Scott Grodzki's here, and he almost got beamed by a foul ball about 30 seconds before I joined you, and I was thinking, good. I don't want you hurt, but like, that's not your warning track. Let me see that press pass.
So Curt Hogg is here. I heard you make this point on Foul Territory. It was my take after watching opening day. It just kind of feels like the 2025 Brewers took a couple months off and they have returned in style, in spirit, in strategy. Is that what you've seen so far?
Yes. First, I want to clarify, I'm glad Scott Grodzki did not get hit, and he is a lovely fellow. We love Scott. Yeah, they well, Grant, I don't know if you know this, but the roster's the same. So we shouldn't be too surprised by it. I was like, I caught myself in the middle of writing some stories this weekend, like, talking up kind of how this Brewers approaching this roster a little bit. And I was like, wait a second, Curt, you dingus. We shouldn't be surprised by this. This is the same team essentially, and there's a few parts that are gone. Durbin's gone, Freddie's gone, but outside of that, like the guys who are committed to the Brewers' identity are all back, and so they're not going to hit a ton of home runs. They're going to have to win games the way they win games, and that's on the margins by trying harder in some instances, by having better at bats, and they did that against the White Sox.
What did you see from Sproat and from Harrison in their first two appearances each, or their first appearance each?
Yeah, I thought, let's start with the good. Kyle Harrison commanded the ball really well. I liked the rhythm that he had. He was getting the ball, he was taking the signal, and then he was dotting a fastball to a certain spot. And maybe I liked that because he was dotting fastballs, and really that's what I liked. And the other stuff was sort of a byproduct that makes you think you like it. But that whole situation looked good. I enjoyed seeing how the moment after he gives up the leadoff homer, he gets in a jam. It didn't get to him. With Sproat, it did seem to snowball on him a little bit. He also didn't have his delivery, and that was the bigger thing. And so that's what we're going to be looking for here is, look, now you failed. You have gotten hit really hard in the big leagues, but you're going to get more opportunities. How do he and Chris Hook and the rest of the Brewers pitching staff go from there? How do they address what was wrong but not overcorrect? And we've seen them do this with guys in the past. It's gone pretty well. Is Sproat the next guy to kind of find a simple tweak and figure it out? We will find out because he's got the stuff for it.
And Angel Zerpa, your reaction to his first appearance last night?
It was good, Grant. That's why I have this. I have this right here. Sorry, I'm probably not supposed. Someone can like.
You got to be careful with that.
Yep. I didn't show that. Yeah. He was good. My expertise tells me that sinker is a very, very dangerous pitch.
Curt Hogg is here. And I wasn't for sure if you were BBWAA, so I'm glad. Thank you for flashing your credentials. It makes me feel better about this.
Yeah, baby. That was a flex.
You can also see him on Brewer territory with Corey Knebel. So they lost last night, so now we naturally need to talk about all the things that are horrible and bad and why they won't win and succeed. How do we deal with, I'll throw a graphic on the live stream. How do we deal with the lineup after Yelich, Contreras, Terang? Because it feels thin and light right now without Chourio and Vaughn.
Yes, it is a lot like my diet right now. I am 30 years old. I'm in pretty good shape. I was a runner in my previous life. I've since retired, but I'd like to think I've been a pretty active guy. I've played sports, and I go to my physical, my age 30 physical with my doctor. And it's like, okay, well, you got a little bit of heart history. My dad had double bypass, and I got my blood levels checked. They come back very high cholesterol, LDL, mucho up here, not what you want. So I've been having a light, bit of a fluffy diet, keeping things simple, not going too heavy on things like the cake or the red meats, the things with the power. I got to find your protein in different ways. Salads. That's sort of where
other guys.
That's where 6 through 9 was in the lineup yesterday.
Okay.
No Andrew Vaughn, no Jackson Chourio. You're hitting, there's a lefty on, so you're playing the righties. That's where the Brewers were yesterday.
Do you think Joey Ortiz has taken maybe not a quantum leap, but it's a nice little. I've said about Joey Ortiz, like, look, if you can be a viable 8-hitter and occasionally punch above your weight and get on base and just give good at bats, like that's really all they need from him with the defense they play. Do you see any improvement from him through 3 games, I suppose?
Yeah, it's not just 3 games, but I think you kind of gave a little away of how I want to answer this. Is like, what do you think about Bryce Terang's first quantum leap? He wasn't a good hitter. Midway through the year, I think he was about average, but he finished with maybe like an 85 OPS plus or so. Like, he was a playable hitter, and that was enough for it to be like we could look at it like, okay, yeah, that was a leap. Joey Ortiz is in the same spot, and like I don't view him as a 580 OPS guy. I view him. I don't want to put a ceiling on the guy, but Dave Dave Gasper. Dave Gasper joins the chat. I view Joy Ortiz sort of in like high sixes. You know, if he can get to a 700 OPS, oh God, look out at that point. That's like a 4-win player. So I view him as a better player than he showed to be last season on offense. The defense might even be a tick better as well. So, like, if we're coming from, look, Grant, you start your jump at the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know this as a prime athlete. Were you a long high jumper? I could see you as a high jumper.
I was a runner. I
was a runner too. But if you're in track, maybe you could have dabbled over.
I would dink around over by the high jump mats, in middle school, because there were always girls over there.
Yeah, that's true. I dinked around at triple jump, but I didn't have the coordination for it. I didn't have the coordination for the talking to girls part either. But if you're leaping, Grant, you start on the ground, and Joy Ortiz last year is on the ground, so maybe we do get a leap simply by being a 3-win shortstop. That would be a major W for the Brewers.
Curt, baseball so well. Statistics, pitch mix, deliver, all these things. I'm going to put your writing skills to the test, or your skills with the written word or the spoken word. Is Bryce Turang a star?
Bryce Turang is a star whose place in the galaxy is burgeoning. Some people look up there and they think it's a passing plane in the sky. It's not part of one of the big constellations. It's not the North Star. But for those of us who know ball, and I think ball players know ball, I think in their eyes, he is a star, coming into being a star. Therefore, I'll put him up there in the twinkling night sky.
Maybe I got more than I asked for. Well done. I just think, tell me if I'm wrong, their ability to score runs and produce without Chourio and Vaughn, if Turang is pitching in a couple hits here and there and giving you some power, a home run or a double, then I think it works. If you're just relying on Contreras and Yelich and you're not really getting much from Turang, if he's not at least being like star adjacent, I think this offense struggles until Chourio is back.
Can I say something actually to that?
Mm-hmm.
I would say Contreras and Turang are the first two that you're getting things out of.
Really?
And then Yelich is a little more of the... That's kind of where I'm at. I just feel like that's how I feel about Bryce Turang right now as a hitter. And there's going to be struggles that come and go. And Pat Murphy has talked about this as well, is he's got to be a hitter now. Now that he's a power hitter, he's been a hitter in the past, but he's going to get pitched different. There's going to be times where you can't be a power hitter. You're going to have to be a hitter again. And I think he's going to do a pretty good job of that. So I would say him and Contreras are kind of the two that I feel better about night in, night out. And Yelich is maybe not too far off that. But yeah, I will be surprised if the offense doesn't have a bit of a struggle for some of this time, a week here or there, maybe the whole time without Vaughn and Chourio. They definitely have the approach to survive, to buoy some of it, but missing two of your top 5 best hitters is no bueno.
It's not good. Curt Hogg is here, the Journal Sentinel. Lastly, Renifo, Lockridge, and Mitchell. If one of those guys in a month were like, wow, he's really contributed and given you something offensively, which one do you think it would be?
I want to say Lockridge because of what I saw this spring and the bat speed and the exit velocity. That's all there. But I'm going to go Renifo simply because there's been some more big league success there. And really, Grant, what they need is Owen Miller May from one of those guys. Just because the lineup isn't as long. There's not as much depth. Maybe Luis Matos May.
Who was it in 21? McKinney? That was more of like a 2-week stretch.
21? Yeah, Billy McKinney had like a week.
I guess it was not.
Sure,
even,
yeah.
It was a week. I mean, that's how you survive without Chourio, is you just need one guy. You don't need Renifo or Lockridge to an all-star. You just need an amazing week and a half or 2 weeks.
This was an underrated part of last year's. Whenever someone would get hurt, the guy who replaced him was that as good or better. Hoskins gets hurt and then Andrew Vaughn happens.
Yeah.
Joey Ortiz goes down and Andre Monasterio hits 400. Chourio gets hurt and Lockridge comes up and hits pretty well. So that was, if you're looking for like what was the fluke of last year, maybe the timing of all that was a bit fluky. So I don't mean to besmirch the good name of the 97-win Brewers, though.
No, not at all. I think timing played a huge role into the team last year when they had a winning streak, when one hitter got hot versus another. So, Curt, you're back at the Yard. We're happy to have your coverage. When can we expect episodes of Brewer Territory?
3 times a week. I wish I could give you more than that, but we're kind of flying by our schedules. Other than that, but we'll come and do some shows. Like last night, we hopped on and did one after a game. If there's big games, big performances, we'll probably pop on that night and do it. But we're looking for 3 a night. But also, Grant, lest we forget, we should not eschew the good name. Eschew the good name of J.R. Radcliffe and the Microbrew Pod, my first true love in the podcast game. Just as you are my first true love in the radio game.
I thought Rosiak filled in well for you on Monday's episode. I won't besmirch or eschew Rosiak, who did a great job at his weekend.
Do not cashew J.R. Radcliffe.
A heavenly roasted cashew, J.R. Radcliffe. Appreciate your coverage, Curt. Thank you for the time. We'll talk soon.
Goodbye, Grant.
Goodbye, Curt Hogg. Heavenly roasted nuts. I want to get to a Brewer game soon. Bill was there last night. I was not at opening day. We've talked about this. I want it to be warmer. I want there to be a little sun. I don't want to feel like I'm sitting in a dingy, dark, unfinished basement, which sometimes can be March and early April baseball at American Family Field. But for the heavenly roasted nuts, might have to. Your reaction to anything that Curt, I need to go back and re-listen to whatever the hell he said about Bryce Terang. I think I need to hear that a second time. We will break. We pause, as Paul Allen would say. And I'll give you some of my own Brewers thoughts as we wrap up the first hour of the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
It was more of the same. They kind of were pesky for 3 straight games. They drew 10 walks on opening day. They put up, I think, 6 runs then in the second game, and then obviously had a 6-run 8th inning yesterday. Christian Yelich with the big homer. It wasn't just the homer, though. It was Sal Frelick having 9 pitch at-bats. It was Blake Perkins, drawing a walk in a big spot. Luis Rengifo getting that 8th inning to Christian Yelich with a big hit. So this is what we saw from them last year when they won 97 games. So it's not entirely surprising considering the lineup's basically the same as last year, but it was still an impressive offensive performance. You can put the White Sox caveat on there, but look, like they threw good arms. Shane Smith's a good arm. Kay from the left side looked good. They've got some nasty dudes in the bullpen. So, what else do you want them to do besides beat up on the White Sox?
That was Curt Hogg on Foul Territory the other day. Of course, his show, Brewers Territory, with Corey Knable. Thrice weekly. You can read his work at the Journal Sentinel as well. Appreciate his time. Couple of texts. This one from Johnny Cribbage on the Brewers. How long is the leash for Garrett Mitchell if he struggles? Brother, if you watch him last night, that to me is that's too often the Garrett Mitchell experience. Whiff, 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 whiff. And here's the thing. You can't play Garrett Mitchell against a team as smart as the Rays. They're too smart. You can play Garrett Mitchell against the White Sox. You can do a lot of things against the White Sox because they're dumb. They're not smart. The Rays are smart. They're going to say, oh, Garrett Mitchell's out there? Just throw high fastballs. Bro does not have a prayer. And to be fair, he didn't. So we'll talk more Brewers coming up after Zach's update. Went a little long with Curt. The show tonight presented by In on the River in beautiful Trempealeau, Wisconsin. This summer, I tell you got to get over to Road America, another sponsor of the show. I'm someone, I don't know if you know this, if you listen to the show, God knows that you know if you follow me on Twitter at Wisco Grant. I like adventuring. I like going to different corners of the state. I get a little nervous if I'm stuck in one place for too long. And I do love Madison. It is my home. But if I get a weekend, I'm like, where can I go adventure? Where can I go? I need to change my surroundings, my environs. Trempealeau is a beautiful place, the whole western coast of Wisconsin. The nice thing about Trempealeau is it's a great home base if you want to hike Perot State Park, play golf at Trempealeau Mountain. I saw pictures. They had people playing this weekend. El Maro Vineyard's right around the corner. And down there in Trempealeau, clearly, the boat landing's right there. So if you want to come fish, you can bring the boat. You can cruise around. The marina is basically right across the street. Sullivan Supper Club, the Trempealeau Hotel, food and music. And In on the River is the perfect place to stay while you enjoy it all. 608-534-7784. And oh yeah, by the way, if you wanted to plan a summer weekend, you go to a Loggers game on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's just a half hour down the road. It's not far at all. So plan your Western Wisconsin weekend, your getaway this summer, or heck, go for a full week. Look at me. If I had the time, I would. InOnTheRiverWI.com. In on the River Trempealeau on Facebook. You can like them there. They're always keeping you updated with certain things that are going on. And 608-534-7784 is the number to call if you want to set something up. Goose Eggs Lee from Westby on the live stream says, when are you traveling Cadott? That is not on the list currently, although I was in Coloma this last weekend. So maybe, just maybe, I'm branching out. I also drove through Berlin for the first time. And with all due to Berlin, I would not enter the city from the east. With the landfill on your left, a lot of cars in yards. And hey, if you're a collector of, I'm not besmirching. Again, I'm branching out, so I might go to Cadott here at some point. Hour number 2, let's talk Brewers on the other side, and I'll get back to taking your phone calls too. 608-321-1670. 2 minutes, quick update from Zach.
Help won't save us with our trouble. I just need some love forever after all.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers and Rays will continue their series tonight at American Family Field. Tampa took the first game last night, scoring a run off of Trevor McGill in the top of the ninth to break a 2-2 tie and hand Milwaukee its first loss of the season. Tonight, going to feature the debut of veteran Brandon Woodruff on the mound for the Crew. He missed the first half of last season, but ended up going 7-2 with a 3.20 ERA. Injuries have derailed his seasons the last 3 years as he started a total of 23 games, but Woodruff feels good heading into his 10th year in the majors.
It's tough for me because when I go pitch, all things kind of go out the window. I'm trying to win a baseball game. I'm trying to put the team in the best position to win, and sometimes maybe that's hurt me in the past. But I try not to think about that. I try to go out and do my job and kind of leave that in the hands of pitching coaches and Murph when to make that decision if they need to take me out or whatever it is. But I'm focused on building the endurance and the load right now, which I've done a good job of. I feel good. Now it's just pitch.
Rays will counter Woodruff with Shane McClanahan. He missed the last 2 years. He'll be making his first appearance since going 11-2 in 2023. First pitch is set for 6:40. As for the Bucks, they're going to host the Mavericks tonight. Fiserv Forum tip is set for 7.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, Packers president Ed Policy said he was shocked that people asked whether he should have fired Matt LaFleur or not after last season. Said players came to him in support of the coach, and the judgments on LaFleur and GM Brian Gutekunst should be based on their entire tenure and not just a few games. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
I know the season didn't end the moment that you wanted, but you guys were 9-3-1 and sure looked like you were on the cusp of being that Super Bowl team. When you kind of made that plan, do you believe kind of in the team you were before those injuries hit? Like, is that how much of that direct where you meant?
Yeah, I think you have to be able to overcome injuries, whatever those are, and we did, certainly at the end of the season. But I do believe in our team very much. I think we got a great group of guys, a very talented group. I think we have a group that is capable of accomplishing a lot, and we did last year as well. This will be a whole new year. They got to come together as a team, like I've spoken about many times. Like, doesn't matter how much talent we have, if they don't come together as a team, we're never going to accomplish ultimately what we want to. But I thought we did some really good things last year. But at the end, when some of the adversity hit, we didn't finish like we needed to do. And I would expect this team moving forward to work towards, fixing that. For me, it's just about understanding that there's different situations through a football game, and you got to be able to handle each and every one of them. As we went through the season, we just never accomplished that part of it. But I feel really good about that. We'll get that corrected.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, that's some audio from Brian Gutekunst. Spoke to the media yesterday at the league meetings down in Phoenix. That's because we started the show back at 4 o'clock with some Packers talk. So go back and find it in the podcast. I want to stick with the Brewers, although I'm not going to turn anybody away. The number to join me, 608-321-1670. They lost to the Rays last night. When the Brewers win, it's like, well, here's a million reasons they're awesome. And when they lose, it's like, here's a million reasons why they're the most worthless team that will never accomplish anything. And I think last night, certainly more so than the series against the White Sox, I felt the second 2/3 of the lineup where it's like, once you get past Terang, Contreras, Yelich, it gets thin pretty quick. And I think Bowers can give you some good at-bats, and I think Renifo can, and Sal, certainly. But against the White Sox, it's like, man, this David Hamilton feels like such a Brewer. And Garrett Mitchell, he's maybe stepping into the player that we always thought he could maybe be. And then last night we're watching them play against the Rays, and it's like, okay, well, now the bottom of the lineup being Mitchell, Hamilton, Lockridge, now it seems a little effed up. Like, now the tuxedos seem a little effed up. So I think last night's a great example of the struggles that the Brewers are going to have to figure out how to overcome in the next 2 to 4 weeks, probably, if we're talking about Vaughn and Chourio, the better part of the next month, How do you cobble enough runs and enough production in that lineup outside of Terang, Contreras, Yelich? And that's assuming you're getting good versions of Terang, Contreras, Yelich. God forbid Yelich slumps for a week, or Terang slumps for a week, or Contreras becomes a ground ball machine for a week. Like, let's assume Terang, Contreras, Yelich are pulling their weight. How do you get offense from the rest, from the other 6 spots? And I don't mean to lump Frelick in with everybody else, because Sal's, I do think you can get some good production or good at-bats from Sal. But that second half of the lineup, how do you get enough production? How do you get enough activity in that stretch of the lineup until Chourio and Vaughn come back? I think that's going to be the challenge, and I think that's what we watched last night against the Rays. We can nitpick McGill. It's like, 96, that's maybe not going to cut it. So we could talk about that, or we could talk about Harrison, but a night where at home, your pitching staff holds the opponent to 2 runs through 8 innings. In theory, most nights you'd like that to be good enough, and last night it wasn't. So to your phone call, 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
All right, I got a bone to pick with you, and you're just going to have to put up with it.
Okay, Rico and Lacrosse, hello.
Yep, there we go. How's it going, Father Grant?
Good, by the way. What's your
I am
bone?
going to get. I'm going to get to the Brewers. I promise. All right. First of all,
okay.
What is the city west of Milwaukee called? New.
Did I say it wrong? Oh God,
You did.
New Berlin.
Yes. So that the name of the town up north where you went through is called
Berlin.
There you go. All right, that's first.
Okay.
All right,
You're a Fond. I forgot you're a Fond du Lac guy. So you would know how to pronounce. Am I wrong, by the way, about pulling into that town from the east side? It's not a. And this time of year, everything's pukey and brown. But like, landfill. Cars and yards. Right. The downtown was actually once I got to the main drag, it was actually kind of nice. But that coming from Fondy, not great, Rico.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Hey, anyhow, okay. Number 2. Quit stealing my thunder on the music things.
What on the music things? What are you talking about?
Little River Band. Hello?
Okay, well, this is such a specific...
Right, the regular listeners don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
All right, the other thing.
Okay.
All right.
Damn it. We're just about to get to the payoff of that call. All right, Rico, call back in and we can do your Brewers thing. Why would a town... I mean, I guess you got a good point. If it's New Berlin, why would the other town not be Berlin? But like, is Paris, Tennessee supposed to be Paris, Tennessee? Like what? We're just changing. We can't steal the name of European town A, B, C, whatever, and then just change the pronunciation. Well, yeah, I mean, it's the town in Germany, but we say it a little different. Okay, so Berlin, Wisconsin. It's not great. While we wait for Rico to call back, if he does, let's take another call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, it's your long-lost friend, Richie in Wanakee.
Richie, what's going on? I was up in Wanakee. Hey. I was tearing around downtown with Zach Heilprin last week.
Well, I never actually spoken to him, but I'm pretty sure he and I live in the same building.
That tracks. I doubt he's knowing Zach, I doubt he's spoken to anyone in his building, so I doubt that's personal.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't take it personally, but I mean, hey, if I'd have known that, you should have said something. It could have had a beer.
Well, next time, I mean, I'll announce
it.
I'll announce it next time.
And some cashews, because apparently that's the topic of conversation today.
Heavenly roasted nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's baseball season. I swear I don't avoid you any other time of the year, but it just seems like baseball season. I'm ready to call back and chat it up a little bit.
Good. Well, what do you think? They lost last night, so the team blows again.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, but I mean, when you look at starting pitching, yeah, we traded Peralta away, but I feel like starting pitching, we're still exactly where we were last year. We've got a plethora of guys. I mean, Gosser had 11 strikeouts in his AAA debut this season. So he's sitting down there. Logan Henderson, when he gets healthy, we can bring him back up. I mean, we still just have so many options as starting pitching.
Priester. And I was going to ask Curt, but we can deal with this when it happens. Like, I do wonder who they're going to swap Priester for when he's healthy. My guess would be Chad Patrick. I don't know, but my guess would be Chad Patrick. I don't know. If Sproat really, I mean, if Sproat can't put it together, then maybe he's the one. But I'm very intrigued to see what he looks like in start number 2.
I gotta say, if they do that though, that's like Chad Patrick is just like the worst luck, because look what he did last year. He was already like getting talk about rookie of the year, and then Mizorowski comes and takes his spot, and he doesn't really get that spotlight anymore. Now you're going to tell me that Chad Patrick is our number 2 starter, but as soon as somebody else gets healthier, we're going to send him back down again. Like, man, that just sucks for Chad Patrick.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's their number 2 starter. Richie, we'll have to talk more as the season goes along. I'm going to let you go. I don't know that Chad Patrick's their number 2 starter. I think he's pitching second. So maybe that means he's the number 2 starter. I don't think of him as their number 2 starter. I think he's better as a reliever. I think he showed that last year. And I think he did his best work last year as a reliever. So I don't remember feeling bad for Chad Patrick last year when Mizorowski came up. I remember watching Chad Patrick a bunch earlier in the year and just hoping, praying, wishing, waiting, Jack Johnson, for anyone to get healthy so we could replace Chad Patrick. I remember that. And then I remember him being nails out of the bullpen. Maybe there was an interim period as a starter where he figured it out. I don't remember that, but that could be a blind spot in my memory. All right, let's go back. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
All right. So the other thing is,
yes,
all right.
Rico.
So number 3, I'm probably your only listener that's ever actually visibly seen the Southern Cross.
Okay. So hold on. Yesterday, why do you do this? Yesterday in the Monday mailbag, I got a Jimmy Buffett question by someone who I should almost just pull up the email. Someone was talking about how they listened to Southern Cross, and we were talking about Buffett, and he covers that song. So explain to me, please. What? Go ahead, because you're a sailor. You're in the military.
Yeah, I've literally seen the Southern Cross.
What is it?
I also lived in Brazil. It's just it's a cluster of 4 stars in the sky. You can only see it below the equator, or just below the equator.
I mean, the song says when you see the Southern Cross for the first time. Do you remember the first time you saw it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely remember it.
God, I feel like a late night host.
Looking for it. I was actually looking for it. I was on aft lookout at like 3 a.m, and all of a sudden there it is.
All right. Tell me
right,
more. Did it take your... All right, on to the next thing. Go ahead.
No. You can ask me about it. It took my breath away, but it's tiny.
Okay.
It's smaller than you think. All right. Here's my question. All right. Easter is Friday or Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you gave up Twitter for Lent.
This is not true. I deleted Twitter off my phone for Lent. I have to be on it during the day, otherwise I'm not going to know what the hell's going on, Richie. I appreciate it. We belabored that call. See, this is what Richie does. He calls like once a month, and he addresses everything that it's like he keeps a list, and he calls in and he talks about it all at once, which I remember all of these things, but we have many listeners who are like, why are they talking about the Southern Cross? Because it was brought up on last night's show. What did Richie just say? Now I got a brain fart. Oh, Twitter. I deleted Twitter off my phone in an effort to be on my phone less. And it's been pretty productive. Now, sometimes when I am away from a computer and I really feel like I need to tweet something, I'll download it, tweet it, delete it. And I feel like that's okay, because that's not a time suck. That's just me posting and then deleting. So I'm not sitting there refreshing, wasting time, chasing dopamine hits from notifications. I'm posting quite truly for the love of the game and for the job. A little bit, because I do need to have some sort of an online presence. I probably should for this job. I'm not to the point where I'm going to be like, man, listen to the radio show and that's all. One day that'd be cool if the radio show was so important I didn't have to do anything else, but it's not really how it works. I thought Kyle Harrison looked pretty good last night. I am no pitching expert. Curt Hogg was talking and extolling the virtues of the fastball. The Tampa Bay Rays made him work. The Rays do a lot of the things that the Brewers do. Maurer and Grindle were talking about this last night. I listened to long portions of the game. Talked about how the Tampa Bay Rays are going to fight off pitches, not strike out, really make Kyle Harrison work. Pat Murphy here talking about Kyle Harrison's performance last night, throwing a lot of pitches in the first 2 innings, but then actually bouncing back. After watching him in innings 1 and 2, never would have thought that he would get through 5, and honestly probably would have been able to make a case for coming back out for 6 if it wasn't, the first start of the season.
Yeah, I thought he threw the ball well, and I think he's for his first outing with us. I mean, he threw the ball really well and responded really well, especially after the first 2 innings.
And I'd play you. I guess I'll play you one comment here from Kyle Harrison. I listened to this presser earlier. It's not particularly interesting, but I can play you Kyle Harrison as the cut downloads talking about the way that the Rays made him work. And they did the thing that I want to see the Brewers do. They did that
Good
thing.
to get the first one out of the way. Good to get comfortable on that mound. And it obviously didn't start off how I wanted. I didn't execute a changeup, but felt like I bounced back pretty good and, got the 5, ideally 6. But worked a little too hard on those first couple innings.
He, again, if it was a more important game or if it was later in the season, he only threw 87 pitches. And he was pretty good ball strikes. It's a lot of the pitches that he was throwing and a lot of the laboring that he was doing in the first 2 innings were because Rays hitters were fouling him off. There were at bats where it felt like guys were fouling off 2, 3, 4 pitches, really making it work. And it's not necessarily because he was locating pitches poorly, and it's not that he was dinking around. Who did we talk? Well, maybe it was Curt. What the heck was I listening to? All this stuff runs together. Really, he really did attack the zone. It was very aggressive. It might have just been Grindle and Maurer last night that I was listening to. He came after guys. And, he got bit a little bit by that in the first inning. Someone just took him out of the yard completely. But unlike Sproat and unlike, Freddie Peralta at times where, we're making jokes like they created a million Freddie Peraltas. Our whole rotation is Freddie Peralta now. The Brewers recreated Freddie Peralta in the aggregate, which it was frustrating because I was driving home last night from Woodman's thinking, I wonder if anyone's tweeted that we just recreated Freddie Peralta in the aggregate. And when I got home and popped open my computer and checked, I was like, someone has to have tweeted this. And someone had like 10 minutes before. Damn. But Kyle Harrison was not dinking around, wasting his time and wasting pitches on non-competitive offerings. Like he was throwing strikes. Tampa Bay was fouling off a lot of pitches. He was really just struggling to put guys away. And I think as the outing went on, clearly he had finished with 8 strikeouts, which if Mizorowski wasn't the gold standard with 11, 8 strikeouts is pretty darn good. Then I think we view, Kyle Harrison start just a little bit differently. But it's not Sproat and that he couldn't command the zone, or it's not Freddie Peralta where he was just yakking the ball all over the place. He was pounding the zone. He was being aggressive and coming after guys. Tampa Bay's a good team. They're a smart team, and they do a lot of the same things that the Brewers do. So that was the story for Kyle Harrison tonight. Now tonight should be quite interesting because we get to see Brandon Woodruff's first start in a while, certainly first of the year, but first in a while because he missed the latter stretch of the season last year with an injury, and McClanahan's going for the Rays. And I think it's Rasmussen day game on Wednesday. So the Brewers are going to see 2 really good arms the next 2 nights, even though McClanahan's missed some time. Maybe he has some rust. That would be great. Not for McClanahan. That'd be a bummer for him, but be good for the Brewers. More Brewers thoughts, including I did you all a favor. We have joked about Caleb Durbin and, how are the Red Sox fans and how's the East Coast media going to treat the guy? Well, I think he started the season 0 for 12. Not good. And I did you all a favor. I picked and I combed and I listened to a bunch of East Coast sports talk radio, and I found some good rants. I found some good highlights. So we'll enjoy that. We're not enjoying it at the expense of Caleb Durbin. It's just more we're enjoying sports talk radio, or at least that's the way that I want to view it. I also want to react to the City Connect jerseys, which have leaked, and I find them quite interesting. We'll talk more baseball next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Trevor, what do you think when you're watching the way this offense makes other pitchers have to work?
I'd imagine it's pretty damn frustrating having to throw 7 pitches at every dang hitter. Definitely wears on some guys, and that's kind of just what we do here is never quit and put together great at-bats and, get what you get and go with it. So proud of those guys, too. They pull together.
That's Trevor McGill on Sunday. Curt Hogg asking, hey, what do you see from this Brewers offense in games like that? He said, well, I would imagine it's pretty annoying to have to face an offense that makes you throw 7 pitches every at bat. Well, and the Rays did that to the Brewers last night. I also think the Brewers offense, not exactly practicing what they preached those first couple of innings. The first inning was like, it was done. It was the type of inning that makes you text your Brewers group chat and your friends go, yeah, nice inning, boys. Real good. You see a pitch or 2 each? Nice. Yep, 3 up, 3 down. Let's get the ball right back to Kyle Harrison, who's working hard because the Rays are working him hard. I have many passions. Most of them are complete and total wastes of time. One is listening to just a ton of sports talk radio, even sports talk radio that has no relation to my teams. I'll occasionally listen to a little New York, although I think New York sports talk radio kind of stinks, actually. Mike and the Mad Dog back in its day, but now it's like, I don't know if you've seen, like Craig Carton's back. He's been to jail and he's been on TV and now he's back on the radio again. Like, I don't know. And how is it Brandon Tierney and like those guys are just fighting, they're feuding. And WIP in Philly, who is the Angelo Cataldi is now like on a vengeance tour, just dumping on all the hosts who are currently on the stage. Like it's just some of these goes, but I do enjoy a little Boston sports talk here and there just because they're so angry. It is entertaining. And I love when there's a Wisconsin-Boston connection in any way possible. Mike Felger joins us at the Super Bowl in each of the last 2 years, always one of the best and most interesting interviews of the year. Bring a little bit of that edge to the show that sometimes we lack in the Midwest. He's a Milwaukee guy. So I listened to some Felger and Maz, and I was excited to hear them, let's just say, talk about Caleb Durbin. So in Felger and Maz, you have Tony Maserati, who's their baseball guy, longtime Red Sox writer, talking about Caleb Durbin. This is how they view him so far. I believe he's 0 for 12.
Durbin is a 4A player. This guy's a 4A player. And I know you were right about it from this standpoint.
This is one of your Hall of Fame takes, Mike, since I've been on this show. You couldn't have been more right about this stuff.
It's a crowded room, that Hall of Fame, but go ahead.
This guy is not a big
baseball player.
He's not a big market major leaguer. You want to stick him in a place like, all due respect, Milwaukee.
He didn't even make the team out of camp last year.
Or Minnesota, or Oakland, or Kansas City, or Cincinnati, or give me some other suckbag NL Central team other than the Cubs. Okay, you want to give me, he can, I'm sure he can play on that kind of team. Here, as the number 5 hitter against lefties on opening day, no shot, not good enough, can't fill the hole.
Mass. The takeaway headline take for me is John Henry and Craig Breslow have turned the Red Sox into the Cincinnati Reds.
Pretty much.
Is there much separating those teams?
No.
That's what you are.
Yes.
So what I think is funny about the Red Sox and the Caleb Durbin trade is evidence of this. I think when big market teams, and the Red Sox historically have been, like John Henry just slaps his checkbook down on the table, we're going to buy guys, and that's what they did for a long time. And then Mookie Betts happened, and things have been different ever since. And it's always funny to me when some of these big market teams get delusions of being the nerdy small market team. Now, the Dodgers are the team, of course, that is good at both. They're smart and they can find value and develop guys and then also buy all the best players. But a team like Boston, like, okay, well, we'll get smart around the edges. We'll go for a nifty little player like Caleb Durbin. It's like, the hell you will. The Brewers are smarter than you. They are better at this than you are. So teams like the Red Sox or even the Yankees should have no interest in trading with Cleveland, Tampa, Milwaukee. They know more than you do about players like Caleb Durbin. Here's one more cut from the show. They do not like this guy. And again, I think he's 0 for 12 so far on the year.
To your calls, Dexter in the car. Go ahead, Dexter.
Hey, boys, I'm already at the point where I'd rather get in the car with Tiger Woods than watch Caleb Durbin take another at bat.
That's a good call.
The guy is just brutal. I just don't get how they keep falling into this trap. I get it if they were out on Bregman, if the contract got too high, but there was 2 Japanese players that came over on very affordable deals. One went to the White Sox and the other one went to Toronto, and they're both lighting it up.
When a team like Milwaukee that has had success playing the Moneyball thing and doing that thing, playing mid-market baseball in terms of building a team, when they let go of the guy who finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year and is making like $800,000, that should tell you something. Like, teams like the Brewers have to keep those guys if they're any good. They got a year out of them, pumped and dumped them, and you're the dopes that took the cheese on it.
So that is a good point. Like, if the Brewers are looking to trade away a player who is very good as a rookie and is only making $700,000 or $800,000, I'm not interested. I'm not interested, because there's no chance that the Brewers or the Rays or the Guardians are trading away that player just because. Like, they don't think he's any good. And guess what? The Brewers know more, and the Rays know more, and the Guardians know more than the bigger. You know what I mean? Like, the Brewers are just smarter. They're better at this than you other dumb teams. The bigger dumb teams that are used to just paying for guys. So the Brewers will take Harrison, and they'll take Hamilton, and the other pitcher whose name, not Zerpa, the other one, and they'll probably all be good. And the Red Sox will be left thinking, well, what happened? Well, you fought a land war in Asia is what you did. You took on the Milwaukee Brewers on their level, making a trade around the margins with the player making peanuts, and you lost, because guess what? The Brewers know what they're doing when it comes to trading players who are worth that. That's their business. They traffic in those types of players, quite depending on who you ask, maybe quite literally in South and Central America. I don't mean to laugh. Some people do believe that that's, what goes on down there with some of those baseball academies. Let's take a call here. And Caleb Durbin, I'm updated on the live stream, currently 0 for 14. He's going to get tarred and feathered. Well, they know how to do that on the East Coast. Maybe they'll just throw him in the harbor. That's a great call, by the way. That's a great joke.
To your calls, Dexter in the car. Go ahead, Dexter.
Hey, boys, I'm already at the point where I'd rather get in the car with Tiger Woods than watch Caleb Durbin take another at bat.
608-321-1670. West Coast Sports Show. Who's this?
Oh, man, nothing like East Coast idiot sports broadcast.
Oh, come on. I mean,
give me a break.
You don't have
dude.
any of that in Chicago? I miss, Parkinson, Spiegel.
Of course. Well, I'm just saying, I'm not defending any sportscasters except you. Of course, Grant, except you. But, I mean, come on. So what? Dansby Swanson was just 0 for 8. He got a hit. That's just how, baseball better than anybody, Grant. Come on. It's what comes around goes around. The Derbs will be fine. I mean, heck, even Isaac Collins hit a home run last night for the Royals. And, I watched the big dumper walk off the Yankees last night. And, Yankees fans are going kind of crazy about, who they have in their bullpen, too. So it's just how us crazy fans, we just don't know how to handle the first couple weeks of the season. You can't really lose the year on the first week of the season. But
and the Brewers tried to last year. I'd argue that there's no right or wrong way to there's no right or wrong way to do this. We're just reacting to the games, because Matt from Cross Plains, if we spend the first 2 weeks of baseball season coming onto the air to this show and saying, well, it's early, what do you even know? It's like, well, then what are we doing here? Can I just take these 2 weeks off? Are we not supposed to talk about these games at all? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's early, but we're still going to talk about the games.
Yeah, I agree with that. And last night I was biting my fingernails because I thought Blake Perkins was going to walk off the Rays, of course, with that Brewer magic. And I was so glad when game day was like, oh, sorry, Brewers, you lost. But, I'll cheer for them once in a while, but not last night because, they were down and I couldn't watch them. And then when I went to watch them, it tried to tell me to, download Brewer TV because it's blacked out, and I didn't want to pay extra for that. So Maybe when they play the Cubs, I'll do it because then I usually get blacked out because of Brewers. So
I normally
we'll see
get
what
blacked
happens.
out during Brewers Cubs too. It saves me a lot of stress from being on the internet. You're a good guy, Matt, in
I like
Cross
that.
Plains. You're just a very a positive force in this rivalry. We don't have many like you.
I just love watching baseball, and I've been watching a lot already this year. So it's that MLB app. It's worth every penny you spend on it.
It's great. I subscribed the other day. I'm just kicking around listening to the radio broadcast as I go by my business at night. I think the sun's out here in Madison. I don't know. Zach Heilprin demands that we keep the shades closed on his office window so I don't have a window sightline outside, but it looks nice. I'm going to throw on the game, go for a walk around my nice East Side neighborhood this evening. I can't wait.
Nice. Enjoy it, and we'll talk soon. Especially when the Brewers play the Cubs coming up here.
Matt from Cross Plains. Appreciate the call, ladies and gentlemen. Love Cross Plains, by the way, if we're talking about Wisconsin towns. And speaking of Wisconsin towns, Keith in apartment 15 texts in. I believe the pronunciation of Berlin was changed during World War I because of anti-German sentiment in the U.S. For some reason, Berlin Street in La Crosse was renamed Liberty Street. Is that on the north side? Is that over by like Gould Street? Where's Liberty? I swear that's in the north side. It's tangled in there somewhere under the viaduct, isn't it, Keith? Although not sure if that was during World War I or World War II. Interesting. Well, that would make sense why we say Berlin, Wisconsin, but not Paris, Tennessee. Only the cities of our rivals in war. That would make sense. It's Tokyo, Minnesota, and not Tokyo, of course. But there might be a Tokyo in Minnesota. I don't know. Thank you for the text, Keith. 608-321-1670. We'll continue a little baseball talk next, and we can circle back and hit some same things about Packers. But before we do, I want to talk about these City Connect jerseys because I just have things to say in general about City Connect. But the Brewers jerseys have leaked. I'll show some pictures on the live stream, and you can Google the leaks. Coach Freed, caller to the show, originally leaked it. He was the one to break it. So he's the one with the source. We'll react to the jerseys and just talk about any remaining baseball thoughts that you or I have next at 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bill, Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. I don't know what I said. I have a hunch, but we got loaded phone lines. I'll get to you in just a sec. Someone tweeted in, makes a good point regarding the pronunciation of Wisconsin towns. Richie up in Eau Claire does point out we have Oregon, the state, and Oregon, Wisconsin. I suppose that's true, although I don't know, as Keith texted in the case of Berlin, I don't know what crime Oregon, the state, could have committed that made us be like, well, we'll call it Oregon. We don't want to be associated with the Pacific Northwest. I don't know. To the phones, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, it's Coach Fried.
Hey, Coach Fried. Now, I thought maybe that we'd get a call from you. You were the one to break the leaks of the Brewers City Connect jerseys, which I wanted to cover tonight. I don't know that I like them.
I called in to say I am worried Major League Baseball is going to be turning into the NBA soon, where it gets to the point I tune into a game and I don't know who's playing because all these teams have 6 different uniforms. I mean, I don't really watch the NBA a whole lot, but here and there I'll tune in if I got nothing better going on. And the Warriors are wearing purple and the Bucks are wearing blue. It's just getting out of hand. What happened to tradition? This is my old man rant here.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about this yesterday, Coach Fried. You need a little bit of old man yells at cloud. It keeps everything in check. And my example was, if you have no old men yelling at clouds, you get the NBA, where everything's just, play when you want, wear whatever you want. You want to take tonight off? Fine. You don't want to try this year? That's cool with me.
It was that call about ABS as well. So I don't know if it's just my old age catching up to me or what, but these City Connects are getting out of hand, especially when they nailed the last one. Absolute perfection.
Yeah.
Now they got this utter woke nonsense going on.
Utter woke, Coach Fried. Appreciate it. Yeah, they look a little Northwoods League-ish. I just wonder, I feel like on balance, I dislike more City Connect jerseys than I like. So if we're going to bat a low average on all these, I would just rather not do them, because I think a lot of teams just have great jerseys. I think the Brewers have, and in baseball, you have, normally 3 or 4 of them. I think I love them. I wish the powder blues also had the powder blue pants. Whatever. It's not something that's going to keep me up at night. These City Connects, they're blue and orange. They say Wisco on the front, which is not actually something that Wisconsin people say a lot. I understand the irony given the name of the show. They're blue and white. But the silly thing is, and this is what I don't like about City Connects or the NBA jerseys, there's always some sort of symbolism. Well, we made it blue because of this. And I know what we're going to be told. Well, we made the Brewers City Connects jersey blue because of all of Wisconsin's lakes. And not to sound like Norm Macdonald, but lakes, because no other city or state in the union has lakes. Every state has lakes. Cone Roller's got lakes down in Arizona. It's not unique. Minnesota's got lakes. Illinois got Ohio. I think Maryland is the only state technically without, I don't know if it's without a natural lake or without any lakes. Now they have the Bay, Chesapeake Bay, which may be more of an estuary. I'm still not sure on that one. We don't need to get into that. But everywhere's got water. There's water everywhere. Even in the desert, there's lakes. Well, we wanted to make it blue because the state has lakes. Yeah, so does every other state on some level. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that?
Speaking of states that don't have many lakes, Grant, Jersey is pretty devoid of lakes. Now, we do have hundreds of miles of ocean front shore, but I would imagine you're more of a lake guy than an ocean guy. Am I right on that?
I love all bodies of water equally, Big Ron. I don't know. There's some oceans that I like more. There's some beaches I like more than others. There's some lakes I like more than others. Bill and I were talking about pontoons the other day. I prefer the lake where the average pontoon is a sun cruiser or a sun tracker, not a Bennington. If all the pontoons cost more than houses, it's not a lake I want to be on. You know what I mean? So there's levels to it, but I like all bodies of water.
Now, what's the difference between a pontoon boat and a deck boat? Is there a difference? Is it subtle?
A deck boat, I believe, is like a hybrid between a pontoon and a speedboat. It's got like a speedboat bottom, but a flatter deck like a pontoon.
Okay. I always wondered that if they were the same thing or not. With me being devoid of lakes out here, I don't get to go on those too often out here. But
sorry to hear that.
So, a quick comment on the Badgers hockey, and then I have a Brewer comment. I'm really disappointed that the Frozen Four is going to be next Thursday at 4:00 Central Time.
Yeah,
like, what kind of
seems less than ideal.
You treat your premier, matchup. You're playing it at 4:00 Central Time on a Thursday.
It does seem
odd.
odd.
Does that sound messed up to you?
Yeah. Does seem like a bad way to grow the game, as they say.
Yeah, your showcase event, and the Badgers are in it. I think from the first time since 2010, and I got to take off work to catch the beginning of the game.
I'm surprised you're not going to Vegas, honestly.
Well, actually, I was just in Vegas last.
Well, I know, but that's why I'm still surprised you're not going. Did you at least think about going?
It thought crossed my mind, but the wife put the kibosh on that real quick, so that's not happening.
I suppose. What's your Brewers thought?
So I was I agree with you on the jerseys. Both the City Connect and the pants should be wearing with the powder blue. That's a great take. But I was really disappointed that last night they're facing three relievers who shut them down. And they had even after they shut them down, they had an ERA of 9, of 7.8. And that one guy came in with an ERA of infinity. Mm-hmm. He had given up 5 runs and didn't record a single out, and we couldn't get to any of these scrubs. So I think that was kind of an overlooked point in yesterday's game. And of course the walk that McGill gave up because he's screwing around throwing curveballs, and he should have just stuck the heater right down that guy's throat. Those were the two frustrating things for me last night.
No, and that's fine. And I'm not going to do the McGill thing today. He was throwing 96 to that last guy. And I don't know that he can live at 96, but I need to see him pitch, I don't know, half a dozen times. It's funny because he looked awesome against the first two guys, and then he couldn't put DeLuca away. And then he leaves that fastball up, and it was a well enough located pitch. Pat Murphy said after the game, well, we wanted to avoid that spot because we thought the guy would ambush it, and he did. I'd argue that pitch is just fine. It just can't be at 96. It needs to be at 99 or 100. I think that was more the problem. I thought the location was fine. I think if the velocity's there, it's a little bit better. I thought McGill looked awesome until he couldn't put DeLuca away. Now, ifs and buts, but it's not like he was limping through the outing until that point. I thought he looked pretty good, but I'm not a pitching coach. 608-321-1670. One more here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. How we looking?
Cone. This is a very, I would never expect you when I see the phone ring at 5:45 Central Time here. What's going on?
Yeah, late afternoon for me. currently munching on some spicy dill pickle chips. Just got back from the dry cleaners, picking up some suits. Figured I'd call.
You're getting some stuff done. Well, that's appreciated. What's going
on? What are our expectations tonight for Brandon Woodruff? Where we'll look at him and be like, okay, he's back. Like a solid 5 innings. Would you say?
I was thinking more from the standpoint is like I don't want to see his fastball take a massive dip in velocity. Like I don't want to see him throwing 89-mile-an-hour fastballs. That's more my concern. If his velocity and location is good and they pull him after 4 just out of an abundance of caution, I'm actually okay with it. Now, if he goes 5, that would be great too, but I think I'm going to be more focused on his velocity and his stuff than the actual length of his start.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you think he has any more motivation internally because he did make his major league debut against the Rays?
How do you remember that? Where did you see that today?
I did it. I just remember it.
Oh, damn. Okay. I do not. You're a better man than me. I mean, maybe a little. Shoot, why not? I think Brandon Woodruff's probably just so motivated because he's pitched at a high level, but he's never been able to pitch in the postseason and been healthy for a full year. I think that's probably where his motivation comes from. He also seems like a guy that it would matter to him that he's making $20 million from the Brewers this year and he doesn't just want to slough off. Like I bet that does matter to someone like Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah, I mean, he's a homegrown guy, our guy. I'm sure he doesn't, take that paycheck he gets every game too lightly.
I would agree. Yeah.
No, Garrett Mitchell in the lineup today. Happy about that. But Lockridge, is he a plus defender? He's looked a little shaky in the field to me.
I'm not
awkward.
I am not sure historically how he's been defensively. He looked a little shaky in left. You're right about that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
After the loss last night, I think I do have to bring the win expectation back down around 83, 82 games.
I love how we slide it so much in this first week. Cone, before I let you go, Tiger Woods has issued a statement in the last couple of minutes. Would you like to react to it with me? I can read it to you.
Absolutely.
He says, he put out a graphic. I know and understand the seriousness of the situation I find myself in today. I'm stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on my health. This is necessary in order for me to prioritize my well-being and work towards lasting recovery. I'm committed to taking the time needed to return a healthier, stronger, and more focused place, both personally and professionally. I appreciate your understanding and support and ask for privacy for my family, loved ones, and myself at this time. Tiger. What do you think about that?
And then ChatGPT and PR firm statement.
I feel like this has gone unsaid by many. The dude has a drug problem, and that's serious, and I want him to get treatment. Sounds like he's going to. But so many people, golf people react to this, and I don't want to say that he gets a pass, but I feel like very few people just state the very obvious, clear thing where it's like, this dude has a drug problem. It's not like, oh, why is he such a bad driver? Why is he flipping his car? Like, no, he's got a pill problem, Cone.
Yeah, I thought the whole reaction was kind of crazy. Like, I get that we love Tiger as a society. Like, I love him too. But,
yes,
like, these incidents with his car, I mean, he's lucky all these times he's not hitting somebody else. Like, he is putting people's lives at risk driving this. I mean, you have the Secret Service says he's not allowed to drive around Trump's grandchildren because he's so bad.
It is Fat Cone. I appreciate the call. Well, this is what I don't get is every time he crashes his car, it's like, why is he such a bad driver? So what does this mean for the Masters? He's got a drug problem. So good for him going to treatment. I wish more people just would have came out and said it. Be like, he's got to go to treatment, dude. He's got a drug problem. Like Tiger Woods flipped his car again. No kidding, he flipped it again. One more call, then we got to go to break. Let's go Sports Show. Who's that?
Grant, hey, when did Tiger turn into old Elvis? My God, he looks like crap and drunk and popping pills.
It's a little sad.
It's awful.
It's a little sad, Tony.
But he's still pulling in the ladies.
That's never really been a problem for him, Tony.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, you're talking about boats and all that. You ever watch that show Below Deck?
I am aware of the program. I've never seen it.
Okay.
You can. I
haven't watched the Brewer game yet.
I mean, I can probably grasp the show if there's something you wanted to say about it.
No,
Oh.
that's about it. That's all I got.
Oh, good call. Good call, Tony. Tony in Texas. We'll take a 3-minute break. We'll touch on a little bit of everything in our last segment coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, last couple minutes. Would anyone like to hear a good story? Story time. Kate Fox is here.
We don't want to hear a good story, Grant. No.
No, you're the one telling the story.
Oh, well, I would love to tell a story, Grant.
So Kate Fox of Over the Line is here, and of Bill Michaels Show fame. You had, I feel like a late night show host. So Kate, you tell me you had an interesting incident in a restaurant with a Badger athlete. You want to tell us about that?
Well, this wasn't really something that I was going to share, but then all of a sudden I share it with a couple of people and it's talked about over the air.
You shared it with Ebo.
Here we go.
I wouldn't have shared it on the air.
Well, Ebo also texted me 24 hours ago and said, when John Blackwell is no longer a Badger athlete, can we please talk about this on air? And I responded, yeah, of course.
Well, he'll be out of here in like less than a week. So.
Okay. So
I mean, this is on you.
I'm a server at Bassett Street Brunch Club.
Oh, we're naming restaurant and player. Okay, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
For those who don't know. And I go and I serve this person. Already said his name, but we'll call him John.
We'll call him John. All right.
Comes in, 4 people all together.
Big party. 4 top booth.
4 top booth. not a very busy restaurant.
That's how
And
servers
like
say it.
I told you earlier, Grant, I gave him exquisite service,
Mhm.
right? And you're thinking, NIL athlete, he's stealing all of my money, all of my taxpayer dollars that come out of my check
Now you
at
sound like
Midwest
me.
Family Madison.
Good. Yep.
So what? $100 comes out of my check? 90 of them might be going to John.
It could be.
We don't
Probably
know.
not,
It's
but-
not public knowledge, Grant.
I feel like it probably is one way or another, but who has the time to look?
Nobody knows what these athletes are specifically
That's true.
making.
That's true.
We just know what's in the fund.
That's true.
So let's say John is making, what do you think? $200,000 a year? More than that?
This
season.
athlete, hypothetically?
This season,
No,
hypothetically.
I bet it was significantly more than that.
Exactly.
I bet it was
That is exactly my point.
millions.
So this person
Mm-hmm.
who has never worked a day in his life,
That's not true.
that is completely true.
This person is an athlete.
Yes.
That's a lot of work.
Well,
you're
yes,
a two-sport
I
athlete.
knew that.
That's
yes,
okay. All right.
But going to practice is completely different
Okay. Well, you would know more than me.
going to a job.
Okay, you would know more
In
than
which
me.
I worked my entire time of being a D3 athlete. This D1 athlete, his job is playing. And Grant, when I closed him out,
Mm-hmm.
he sat at the table for over an hour after I closed him out, in which I double checked on them. Hey, do you need anything else? Would you like any more water?
It's worth mentioning. It was not busy. We don't know for sure that if it was busy, they wouldn't have had the self-awareness to say they probably need the table.
And then instead of writing a tip and signing the thing, took the top receipt, put it in the middle, because I had written thank you. You know how waitresses sometimes do that? I just wrote thank you, exclamation point. And normally I write my name, but I didn't want him to think I was like trying to like hit on him or anything.
Mhm.
So I just wrote thank you. Put it underneath in the middle.
Uh-huh.
He looks at it, put it underneath, no tip, no signature. What would you have done? Added a tip? You make millions of dollars, bro. I serve at Bassett and I make anywhere between $100 and $300 a shift.
It's pretty good. Cash? You leave cash in hand?
No. Credit card
lame.
tips.
They don't cash you out?
No.
When I worked as a server, they cashed me out.
That's awesome to hear.
Well, I got fired, so it's fine. I'm sorry that happened to you.
The no tip, and I'm so sorry for the name drop. And if someone's listening that is going to tell him, just please don't that I'm talking about this.
Just don't.
Just please don't.
Okay.
But it's called, if let's just pretend like we had a bad server, Grant. And you and I, we were out to
I'd
eat.
tip even a bad server.
I know, me too. But let's pretend. Oh God, that server sucked, don't you think? Grant, just say-
Yeah, they did, but it's busy, and who knows? They could be having a bad day. We should probably give them 20%.
Yeah, well, I would never want to blackwell them.
And I mean, unless they were. Look, this is on you. If someone gets upset and hears this,
Well, what?
he's not gonna be here in a week or so. Probably. We don't know this to a certainty, but I don't think. He's gonna
And
be
if he comes back for another year, I hope he knows that he has a hater in me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that every server is expected to be tipped, but like, bro, you can
the way
put
it
like
works.
$5.
It's the way that
down.
it's the way
the
that it
bill
works.
was over $100.
It's the way that it works. It's the way that it works.
So anyways,
I'm
go
with you.
Badgers, and I'm sorry for that, Grant. But you heard that I had a nice run-in at a restaurant, and I hope that as a night show host, it lived up to the standard.
Well, thank you for the story, Kate. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Jesse Temple. I should ask him about this, Kate. I should.
No.
Okay, I won't.
We're gonna put this in the dust.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening.